What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It is episode 842 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. I don't want to forget to tell you that we're coming back on Tuesday next week over Memorial Day weekend.
I had that in my notes.
We had to make a note of that. And let us know in the chat what you're planning to do with Memorial Day.
What do you have like a hobby or something you do over Memorial Day weekend? Like something
Horseback riding.
Is that real? I have no idea. It didn't seem real, ladies and gentlemen. I thought she was making that up.
Croquet.
Oh,
yeah.
Croquet.
I think it's croquet. Am I wrong?
So for me, do they pronounce the T in croquet? I've never said it with the T.
And also, guys, what does BBW stand for? We're trying to settle this debate in the studio earlier. Tell us if you know. Because we had an Urban Dictionary definition, then we had Brett's definition, so.
But for me, I go skating on Memorial Day weekend a lot. Or, like, we'd go out of town and skate because, like, most government buildings are closed on Memorial Day. So you can get away with skating a lot of property that you would not normally be able to get away with skating because of holidays. It's also why I love Christmas and Thanksgiving, which is less doable now that I'm getting married. I'm going to have, like, family stuff to do on the holidays. But skating on Christmas is always a whole vibe. So
you, before being in a relationship, you would just ignore your family on Christmas?
No, I'd still go. No, I'd still go out to like see them, but it's not the whole day. Like now when you're in a relationship, it's like the whole day.
I prefer it to be a whole day, but I guess that's just me.
It was more of a Thanksgiving thing than a Christmas thing because obviously Christmas in the winter was dependent on whether it was snowing or not.
That's why everybody like shares those memes every Thanksgiving. They're like, me and the cousins on the post-Thanksgiving walk.
Yeah.
Well, the walk.
I mean, I had cousins that definitely went on the walk.
I didn't.
You didn't? Well,
maybe
Mary's
I just wasn't.
Family's perfect,
I don't
ladies
think
and
I was
gentlemen.
included in the walk. If there was a walk, I wasn't.
I mean, if you didn't
invited.
partake, you weren't going to go on the walk.
No one told me. I don't know.
We'll never know. She's grown out of it, ladies and gentlemen. She would never do that now. We have a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, as always, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here, both on YouTube and over there on Rumble. You can subscribe to us. Follow us along for the segments, the live streams, and everything. Hit the like button on all of them because the best way that you can help channels like this grow is to hit the like button on all of the material so that you can tell the algorithm that you are enjoying what you're seeing. So what are we getting into today? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. It's another day. It's another OnlyFans horror story. I said horror story, not horror story. That's a different thing, though I guess they're kind of...
Don't get it twisted.
They kind of go together here. OnlyFans star Annie Knight was hospitalized after having sex with 583 men. Is that right?
It's not funny. It's very serious. I'm not laughing at all.
I'm laughing.
On the outside, who could have seen this coming? You know?
So we're going to talk about how getting boned by, like, you know, a
Almost
baker's
600.
dozen is, you know, not good for health. Yeah. So we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about Kim Kardashian. She's a lawyer, but she's not a lawyer. And it's been going on for a long time now. She's kind of got stolen valor, as it were, with something like that.
Well, she's
not
been
Kim Kardashian
studying,
Esquire.
Yeah, she has been studying in law school for 6 years to this day, and now she's just lying and saying that she graduated law school when she unequivocally did not. She did not take or pass the bar exam. So everyone is just clapping for her like seals, believing this bullshit, and in reality it's all a big cosplay event for her where she gets to wear the graduation gown and the cap and all that and get the congrats, but none of it is real.
Okay, so we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So also, Sinners caused a large debate about budgets in Hollywood. It caused a debate about racism in Hollywood and movies and all of that stuff. Now it's causing divorces. Well, it's not actually.
Maybe possibly just one divorce. This woman on TikTok shared that she was so excited after watching Sinners that her husband had to shoot down her dreams and dull her sparkle. And now all of her followers are telling her that she needs to leave him.
I'm imagining the like Miley Cyrus hitting her up in the comments, like, don't let him dull your sparkle.
Exactly.
If you don't get that reference, that's okay. Well, maybe we'll mention it later.
Yeah.
If you're ready, Mary, we'll go. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then, guys. So if you don't know, and I imagine you do because you've been following this channel for any length of time, Hollywood has a credibility problem. One of the ways in which that comes across is that oftentimes they put embargoes on their movie because they want to prevent the bad reviews up until the very last minute. This is coming out right now in a very brazen way as Lionsgate Studios, which is releasing the upcoming John Wick spin-off Ballerina, put out a very, as I said, brazen email to the people who were given early access to this film where they simply said, if you want to talk enthusiastically about this movie on social media, you may do so on May 22nd. However, if you want to say something negative about it, you're going to have to wait until June 4th. I'm going to put the people were sharing this up on screen, but it says, we encourage spoiler-free enthusiasm across social media starting on May 22nd at 1 p.m., 4 p.m. Eastern. If you are planning to review the film, critical social media sentiment and formal reviews are embargoed until Wednesday, June 4th at 3 p.m. So Wednesday, June 4th at 3 p.m. is like right up until the release of the movie, which obviously
Well, is that the day before the earliest?
Thursday previews will give you the earliest access to this film. And people don't like that. They don't like the idea that these studios hide what people have to say about these movies. And this happens, guys, mind you, every time we've ever talked about a Marvel movie or a new Disney release, the week leading up until the release of a new Marvel movie, it's suddenly, we're back. The MCU is back. It's the best movie since Endgame. It's the best movie since Winter Soldier. It's the best movie since Infinity War. It's the best movie since this, because the people who get early access on social media are allowed to share those sentiments, and since they want the continued early access from these studios, they're incentivized to say nice things. It's just simply rare for them to be so brazen as to be like, hold up, like, if you want to say nice things, go ahead. But if you want to say negative things, you have to wait until this date. Usually what they do, if they don't trust the take on a movie, is they hold that embargo up until the very last minute. So I'll give you a couple of examples of movies that had strong word of mouth and had like almost no embargo. So Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, 2 weeks out, you were allowed to start talking about the movie. Dune 2, 2 weeks out. Barbie was a week out from the release of the movie. Here are some films that weren't allowed to be spoken of until just a day before those movies came out. Birds of Prey, or if you remember...
those full titles, do you have it in your mind?
Yes, it was Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Dark Phoenix, the X-Men movie, I believe that was 2019, one day. Madam Web, one day. Ballerina, May 22nd, unless you have something negative to say, then one day.
So they really know...
Oh, and Morbius.
Oh, right.
And Morbius.
So they're not stupid. They know when they're putting out a movie that is objectively
Yes,
bad.
they absolutely do. So it is a good rule of thumb is the farther out the embargo is released, the more faith that studio has in the film. Now, superhero movies for a while kind of obfuscated this because if they have post-credit scenes or if there are spoilers that may ruin it for people who are like these Marvel movies, which are front-loaded, where people go right on the first weekend and then the business can die off real quickly, they would hold those reviews because they don't want the spoilers getting out until the very last minute or the post-credit scenes. But in general, when we're talking about regular movies, if a movie is held in embargo up until that last minute, they don't have any faith in it. And this studio, Lionsgate especially, in the last couple of years, this is one of those studios that I find to be really fascinating because on its face, it makes movies that I should love, like me specifically, like my genre of movies. So last year was Boy Kills World. Nobody went to see it. The Crow scarred me for life. Yeah.
The Crow reboot was...
Scarred me for life.
The angriest you've ever been in one of our movie reviews, I think.
Borderlands, which everybody hated and it made no money. The Killer's Game, which I thought should have been great with Dave Bautista. Nobody went to see it. And then, of course, Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is now rightly being panned as the worst thing that Jenna Ortega has ever been a part of.
Yeah, that is a bad look for her to be involved with the Weeknd's vanity project.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that that's Lionsgate.
So-
It's like not. It's not an action movie. It's
They
all
do, I
like-
mean, they also did the American production of Megalopolis, and they produced that new Blake Lively movie on Amazon.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I just want to go through some of what is being shared here on social media. This one's from Charles Bromesco. Says he's a film critic at The Guardian and Vulture. He says, I gotta hand it to Ballerina distributors Lionsgate. Most studios don't have the stones to come right out and say, you're not allowed to tweet about it unless it's positive. You're only allowed to tweet about it if it's positive.
Yeah, you would think they'd have smarter ways of like buttering these reviewers up,
Well,
invite
usually
them
they
to
do.
an exclusive event, give them the feeling that they have special access, and just a flat out regular embargo would have done the trick, right?
Yeah.
But they expected these reviewers not to leak the email?
That part is
How
kind
is
of
that?
no. That part doesn't shock me because again, most of these people still want access. So
they won't leak the email, even though someone did leak the email.
But I'm guessing that they just assume they're like, oh, if you want
Yeah.
to keep reviewing our movies. Now, here's the thing. Maybe if it's Disney, they can expect people to hold their silence because losing out on Disney loses out on market share for stuff you want to cover. But will a movie reviewer go under if they don't get early access to Lionsgate movies?
No.
No. This person says, something feels a little bit off about my Ballerina embargo. And it was covered, of course, by regular news sites. World of Real was the first person that I saw covering this, and also comicbookmovie.com covered it. There are some of the positive reviews on here. But then the thing is if you go read these now, it's like me when I read the Marvel, the little snippets about Marvel movies. I don't take any of it seriously because if you're in the audience right now and you're watching this stream, you don't either because you understand that early access usually comes with some sort of strings. And even if it doesn't, what it tends to be, or at least what I imagine it is that you just kind of are excited anyways, and it colors your view of the movie. So you're like, oh, I didn't like it, but I've got good feelings in general. Therefore, I'm going to go easier on it. It may not even be a concerted effort by all of them. It may just leak into how they view the experience because they were given early access to it. Maybe not for a Guardian reviewer who's been doing it for a long period of time, but if you're a social media creator and this happens, absolutely.
We've been accused of that.
I mean, we don't get early access to anything.
That was just,
Plus,
it was funny when it did happen. We were invited to do press for Mr. Bircham, the cartoon series that Daily Wire put out. What was that, 2023 or 24?
Last year.
That was last year. And we just did press for it and then put a video up, and then we did a separate video for our review. And we said positive and negative things about the show.
Doesn't matter.
And then all the comments were like, your access shills,
Yeah.
like you're just, you're being forced to give it a positive review because you're being paid, you're being incentivized somehow.
And I was like, I liked Lady Ballers more than Mr. Bircham, but like the second half and not the anti-woke humor. That was like the stuff at the very beginning.
I don't even remember it enough
Yeah.
at this point. We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Having had my ass booted out of a number of future junkets in the 80s due to my negative reviews of films from the same studio, Lionsgate's behavior does not surprise me.
Also, like,
Yeah.
okay, so here's the thing. I post pretty regularly on X about new movies that are coming out, and one of the things that people say is, but you like everything. So you can't even accuse me of that. Because
People
supposedly
stereotype
like
you that way, but you actually don't like everything. You're just more likely to give something the benefit of the doubt than I am most of the time.
Well, I mean, I'm literally I just hope everybody had fun. It's it's one of the things that ends up on the anti-critic or the anti-consumer bingo card is like making movies is hard, and that's like a retort that people use against when you give a negative review. They're like, but making movies is difficult. Now the thing is they're right. It is, but that doesn't make a bad movie good.
Well, I have no interest in Ballerina, and
see, I do, and I'm going to see it.
It's spin-off slop. That's what it is. And that's fine if you are interested in spin-off slop. But let's not pretend that it's something original and actually interesting It's just
Well, here's the thing. It's part of a genre that doesn't
John
need to...
Wick's cinematic universe.
It's part of a genre that doesn't inherently need to... Like, one of the criticisms I did see of people on here was people talking about, like, the story is lacking. I'm like, do you remember the original story? Do you remember how convoluted it got after part one and part two?
They didn't even... they weren't even necessarily going to finish the John Wick movies at 4, right?
He's doing another one.
They're doing another one.
I don't know how he's going to do another one.
Even though in the end of the last one, he seemed to have died.
And they're also doing a prequel about the impossible task that he completed that helped the Russian mob. And they're doing it animated, which I hate.
Plus the TV shows, which flopped.
The Continental did fine, but it's like fine in regards to like what Peacock numbers are. Right? And they're also doing a Kane spinoff based on the blind assassin. He was actually, if I'm being honest, the best part of that movie.
Okay, nobody has any interest in a TV show about...
No, he's doing a movie, not a TV show.
Or a movie.
They do have... You're not right. They do have an interest. There is still continued interest.
Do you think Ballerina... What's the budget on this thing?
Okay, so actually, this is something I do want to address. So, it's tracking to earn $35 to $40 million on its domestic opening weekend. Budget was $80 to $90 million. That's in line. My problem here is it says becoming the second highest opening of the franchise. Now, I don't know what Deadline was talking about, but John Wick 3 opened to $56 million domestically, and John Wick 4 opened to $73 million domestically. So when you're looking at a budget in that range, 80 to 90 million is still high, but I think a 40 million opening is okay. But like you said, it isn't John Wick. They have to shove his name in there by calling it from the world of John Wick, Ballerina.
The cameo is like 30% of the trailer.
They said that actually slows the movie down. And I don't think they need it because, in my opinion, John Wick isn't necessarily what you need to continue the franchise. The specific style of action is what you need to continue the franchise. Yeah. So they're saying that the action set pieces are good, but... as far as I'm concerned, when you start putting out emails like this, people already don't trust these studios and you're setting yourself up for failure. And they're at a disadvantage anyways, because people are automatically distrustful of the quote unquote girl boss action movie these days. They'll be more willing to give it the benefit of the doubt with something like this because it's from the creators of John Wick, who are, regardless of the gender of the person, very good at doing stylized violence. So there's every chance that it ends up being good, but they're setting themselves up for failure with the audience's future trust by putting out emails like this.
Another 20 from Jose Quintana. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Mission Impossible 1000 was quite enjoyable. Tom Cruise just knows what the movie fan wants. I think the Ballerina movie should be like the Wick films. Fun, currently in the middle of my vacation. Long live PCC.
Let's go.
Enjoy your vacation.
I am going to see... Final Reckoning tonight. They all run together. I don't care. I'm gonna love it.
Someone in the chat said this sounds like streaming content, and I agree.
Yeah.
I am not gonna be able to mentally differentiate between Ballerina and The Gray Man, which also had Ana de Armas in it.
But that was streaming content.
Yeah.
All right.
Stream slop.
I mean, it might be closer to Citadel, if I'm being honest, which was awful.
Great, even worse.
All right, let's move on. We got more to discuss.
Zachary Levi just sat down for an interview with Variety, and this was authored by the same woman that took down Rachel Zegler last year. Was that earlier this year?
Earlier this year.
Right after the release of Snow White, it seemed like a lot of establishment outlets were turning against Rachel Zegler after months, if not years, of defending her bullshit behavior. And I think that the turning point was her vocal support for Palestine and her continued social media posts about it. Because there were a lot of people in Hollywood, in high up places, who did not like that specific political take of hers. And they wanted to take her down specifically over that conundrum. But can you read it?
Yeah, Value in You says, Brett, Mary, if each of you could produce a big budget movie, what would it be about? Thanks for all you do.
A big budget movie?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't care about stunts or the visuals, so.
Something in line with...
I'd rather do a documentary.
Something in line with James Bond. something in line with James Bond. Maybe specifically somebody from the NSA rather than the CIA.
I'd rather do a documentary or a reality TV show. I'd rather use all of the budget toward a reality TV show that's just the most insane thing you've ever seen.
I would like to split the difference somewhere between James Bond, Jason Bourne, and Mission Impossible and find a middle ground there. Maybe closer to the cerebral style of Mission Impossible 1 and some of the storylines from something like Jason Bourne with none of the shaky cam. Maybe take the camera effects from like the opening stunt scenes of a James Bond movie or the action scenes of a John Wick and do something like that.
I'm convinced they did the shaky cam in Jason Bourne just so that he wouldn't have to learn the choreography super well.
I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, in the first movie, it worked because it kind of sped up the pace and made it more frenetic. But after that, you just want to lose your lunch.
So in this interview, Zachary Levi addressed his experience working with Rachel Zegler on Shazam. And they asked questions of a lot of people who have worked with Zachary Levi, people who are politically opposed to him, who still see the humanity in him, are willing to defend his character on a public platform like this.
I saw a gendered breakdown between that. So the men in his life, the men that he knew, seemed to be very willing to see him as a three-dimensional person. They mentioned that Josh Schwartz, who was one of the creators of Chuck, was still on very good terms with him. And was it Guy Moshe was the directed one of his last movies. Kind of spoke about what he was going through while making that movie as people were kind of coming down on him, and spoke very highly about his sticking to his guns and not being willing to compromise his beliefs just because everybody's telling him differently, and how that used to be something that was celebrated in that industry. And then Duncan McNeil, who I believe was like one of the prolific directors of Chuck.
Yeah.
Spoke about how he disagrees with him vehemently. Like, he had to like preface it. He's like, I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he also says he's also more of a bleeding heart liberal than me on a lot of issues and walks the walk better than I ever could. But then the women, the Lauren Benatti and Rachel Zegler, were the ones who seemed to be more willing to dehumanize him for his political views, or at the very least kind of broad brush him in a way that don't really lend to some type of humanity.
If I recall the previous female co-star, what was her name?
In what?
The one you just mentioned.
Lauren Benatti?
Yeah, she was mad at Zachary Levi for implying that a co-star's cancer... actually, I think that this co-star died of cancer. He seemed to post something implying that the COVID vaccine was related to his death, which is probably something he deserves to be called out for, because that's insensitive to make a speculation like that.
But she said, she goes, but I never liked him.
Yeah, she just kind of threw in the insult that she was wanting to throw in there anyway.
That is worthy of critique, though.
But back in November, you might recall Rachel Zegler being extremely distraught over the result of the election. And she posted an infamous Instagram story rant where she said that she hopes Trump supporters never know peace. And all of these other expletives. She was then forced to issue a formal apology, and this was kind of the nail in the coffin for Snow White, if it wasn't already dead. And they asked Zachary Levi about Rachel Zegler, saying that she hopes Trump supporters, like himself, never know peace. And this was his extremely media-trained, charitable dunk issued to Rachel Zegler. I am one of those people, obviously, but I think we have got to recognize that a lot of times people's decisions are predicated upon the bad information that they're being fed on a regular basis. So should I hate her because she's downstream of all these voices that are telling her that Trump is Hitler and the people who vote for him are Nazis? She's a really talented girl, and I do think that she wants the best for the world deep down.
If you've ever followed him on X, he's an extremely positive person, and even his criticisms of things tend to be kind of bookended by positivity.
It's giving Justin Baldoni in the worst way possible.
I disagree. No. He's Justin Baldoni isn't going to talk about those type of large-scale issues in an overly positive way. I've never seen him actually talk about anything political in that nature.
No, not politically. I just mean like their personalities seem very similar.
I mean, I don't see it.
I bet Justin Baldoni is going to do something at Zachary Levi's new studio.
I don't think
that
he
was
would work
another
with him.
focus of the Variety interview. They're asking him about his plans for a brand new Hollywood studio outside of Hollywood, based in Austin, Texas. And I went to the landing page for investors, so this is not really a reality quite yet, but they have renderings of what he wants it all to look like. It's going to include a couple of huge sound stages and a boutique hotel and cabins for talent and crew to live in with their families and a farm-to-table restaurant.
He talks about
countless amenities, so they can basically all live on this compound to make movies outside of Hollywood.
It's
and
very
it's
much a big pitch. The whole thing is very much a big pitch, what he's selling on the website.
Yeah, but that's the point. You know, when you go to this website, you're seeing all of the plans, and he's trying to sell this as an idea to people who could make it a reality because he doesn't have the investment quite yet. But I looked at it, and the description is just giving cult vibes.
There was one word specifically that I would agree with you on.
Wildwood, but it's spelled W-Y-L-D, wood. Okay. So this is a new outpost of Hollywood, perhaps. It's a movement toward meaningful creation, deep community, and intentional living. Nestled on 75 acres of thoughtfully preserved land, Wildwood will be a one-of-a-kind creative studio and mixed-use sanctuary designed to support artists, innovators, and seekers of well-being. That sounds like a cult.
The Seekers. Well, here's the thing.
Sounds like a cult.
Here's the thing. He is actually reminiscent of Hollywood of old, which is he's a crunchy in a lot of ways. He's a health nut crunchy who just happens to disagree with them on certain aspects of politics because the left is no longer crunchy. The left is like, I want to eat all the food dyes and let the pharmaceutical industry try to heal me.
Yeah.
So he's kind of incongruous with the rest of the business. What I thought funny is they mentioned about a rise of heterodox voices. And it's almost a misnomer because there's probably more heterodox people than not in that industry. They just don't care enough to talk about it. Because they don't think about it.
It's not that they don't care. I think it's because they're afraid, and he said that in this interview. I want to go into his comment because the reason why Zachary Levi was basically outcast from Hollywood was because he said that he was it something about Pfizer being a danger to the world.
He was I mean, if we're going to use the language they use in here, he was vaccine skeptical, which makes sense because you can't even really talk about that stuff on here.
Well, that was a
Hold, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Continue.
The post wasn't about vaccines, though. The original post he made that got him in trouble wasn't actually about vaccines or COVID.
He was always seen that way, though, because he was an RFK guy.
That was before he even supported RFK.
Go on.
Do you remember how it happened?
What,
it was before he started supporting RFK.
Which post are you talking about?
That was the first post that he made.
Pfizer is a real danger to the world.
In 2021.
Yeah.
So that was before RFK.
I mean, that was around
like
that
way
was when
long ago.
That was when Letitia Wright was talking about it.
Or no, it was in 2023.
Yeah, and that but even before that, they mentioned Evangeline Lilly and Letitia Wright, who got hate from their own industry for being skeptical of what was going on during COVID.
So here's what he said about feeling Hollywood's wrath after his vaccine skeptic remarks. I know that there are people that would prefer not to work with me now because of my opinions. My team has let me know. They haven't given me any specific names. I can't relate. I would be asking for every...
You'd want to know all the names?
I would have a shit list. But there are people who prefer not to work with me at this time. And it's unfortunate. I knew that was probably going to happen. I didn't make this decision blindly or casually. And then he said there are more industry figures than we're aware who did vote for Trump or just have heterodox opinions, as he said, and they're not willing to talk about it. He said, I know it to be true because I've gotten messages from lots of people who I won't name, but who were very grateful to me for taking the stand I took and they'd tell me, I want to do that, but I'm afraid. And I would tell them, listen, you're on your journey. I'm on my journey. You've got to keep trusting God. And if you feel compelled to step out in that way, then do it boldly and know that you're going to be okay. And if you don't feel that conviction yet, then don't.
Well, here's the thing with that. He'd already made a good amount of his money by that point, so it's a little bit different. Also, being heterodox and speaking out is actually not the best option, because most of the time, if you're going to end up down the right-wing pipeline, you're going to get pigeonholed, and you're going to have to work and make movies at the Daily Wire and music videos with Kid Rock. You're not going to have the support you did before. It doesn't help you to be middle of the road, because you won't get the support of either side, but you'll anger everyone. Or at the very least, you'll anger the left.
Did I sense some Roseanne Barr shade?
From me? I wasn't even thinking of Roseanne Barr.
Okay.
I mean, she got in trouble for other reasons.
She was in a Tom McDonald music video.
But she got, but the point is that once you come out against any of their sacred cows, and one of those is pharmaceuticals these days, you're going to be pigeonholed. And if you don't explicitly fit into that worldview, then you're kind of screwed. Mm-hmm. Like, is that what you want? Do you want to go make movies, like right-wing movies? Do you want to be in Reagan 2, Electric Boogaloo? Or do you want to keep working in your industry? Most people don't even vote in this country. Half this country doesn't even vote. I'd be willing to bet that most actors that aren't overly opinionated don't even care. They just want to keep working. And even if there is one issue that they do care a little bit about, is it really worth speaking up and ruining your career because you had to say something about whether Johnson & Johnson or Moderna are bad, as if everybody doesn't already know that?
Well, the vaccine issue, I think, was more relevant to them in their ability to work, obviously, because people were unable to take jobs in Hollywood based on their vaccination status. So,
I mean, that was different
that's
at the time.
Different than, oh, like, I don't support, like, what would they even say? Like gun control. Like, you don't need to talk about gun control one way or the other in Hollywood. You're not being compelled. But the vaccination issue was relevant to their actual ability to get roles. So.
I mean, it even came up when when we were talking about Tom Cruise the other day. They shared the video of him yelling at somebody shared the video of him yelling at the people on the crew for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, because they were not. They kept letting the masks
slip under their nose.
And the point was that it's not that he was a diehard about masks. It's that he's producing this movie. It's costing him millions of dollars, and they're on a raise. Like the studio, the government is looking for any reason to shut these people down, and they're putting everybody's jobs at risk.
Right.
So when tensions are that high, speaking out at all is a big deal. So it makes sense that the issue that Zachary Levi seems to care the most about is the one he's willing to take the biggest risk on to say something.
He also added here, while there are some people who might prefer not to work with me anymore, there's a lot of people on that side of the political spectrum who are even more inclined to hire me or want to do business with me because, quote, I need some people who voted another way. They see that what I did was a great risk, and they were like, you know what? I give you props for that because that's not an easy thing to do, and I appreciate that. I don't know how many people there are in Hollywood who are on the left that see Zachary Levi's risk-taking and they respect it. Yeah. Most of them probably think that he's a traitor to democracy or something like that.
There's a 20 there.
The reality is he's just he's a granola lib who just wants us all to eat beef tallow and sing Kumbaya and be happy.
I also want to I'm going to read this 20 from Shane H. Wilder. He says he wants all that for 100 mil. He says one good luck finding 75 acres anywhere around Austin, Texas. He did buy it. He's already got the land.
Yes.
100 mil ain't doing 4.
200 mil ain't doing shit in Austin, where 400 square foot shack is $750K. Austin is culty enough as it is with the Eeyore's birthday weirdo. What is Eeyore's birthday?
I mean, I know who Eeyore is, but I don't know what they're talking about.
What are you talking about?
But the other thing is like Texas right now is trying to spur on the film industry with tax cuts.
Yes.
Mostly led by Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
But he has this whole idea that, you know, he wants to heal Hollywood families and like
I appreciate
not force people to work away from their spouses.
Well,
and
he talks
kids.
about he talks about like an 8 to 10 hour workday. If it takes 2 extra weeks to make this movie because we only want to work 10 hours a day for work-life balance, then that's what we'll do. I'm like, that sounds great, but it doesn't sound in line with reality.
Yeah, what was this? He was talking about his time like working in the UK or something, and how
Tea time every couple of hours.
Yeah, they take breaks to drink tea, and they don't care about, tight schedules as much as the U.S. film industry does.
Well, tell that to the people.
It's awfully idealistic.
That's kind of how I'd paint him, as being an idealist.
The Chuck experience working 16-hour days crystallizes his plans for his studio Wildwood. While promoting the series in the UK, he caught a glimpse of a more sustainable work culture. It was like where every couple hours we're stopping for a tea and the day was manageable and there wasn't as much stress. And I was conditioned to the American thing. I'm like, TikTok guys, what are we doing? He insists with 8 to 10 hour days, and if we need to shoot 2 more weeks in order to make up those hours, then we'll shoot 2 more weeks and figure it out on the budget.
Okay, so here's the thing. Business people don't tend to say phrases like, we'll figure it out.
No.
Like he does have a very idealistic approach that comes from an actor, not from a businessman. Now he's very successful in his career, so he's made money in his life, but the realities of schedule don't usually line up with what's convenient, especially when it comes to the big budget films or television shows that have a lot of episodes. I remember Stephen Amell would say that he worked 18 hours a day because he was the lead actor on Arrow, and that required him to be in ridiculous shape year round, and that by the time he was done with the 7-year contract, he's like, I can't do this shit anymore.
Something leads me to believe that a lot of actors and actresses don't care enough about having a work-life balance to find this idea appealing, and in fact would rather spend half the year away from their husband or wife and kids if they had the option, because that's what they currently do.
Yeah. And I was watching a couple of film threat videos recently about the tax breaks that are coming in other American cities that are much, much smaller, where the locals are not as jaded by the industry as they are in, say, Los Angeles. And LA is ostensibly done. Like, as a filming
He called
hotbed.
it the Detroit of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, it is in a lot of ways, because the government has made it impossible for them to work because there's no incentive to stay there. There's just no reason to do it anymore. So I applaud his idealism. I think that in an industry full of insufferable and petty people, I at least appreciate somebody having some type of idealistic slant that isn't idealistic in an anti-human way. Meaning, like, my idealism says that we should stop having babies to save the planet, but he seems to have a very humanist approach to his idealism, which is so rare in that industry. I also thought it was funny that they mentioned that he's still friends with Josh Schwartz, the creator of Chuck. There was enough jokes taken at Obama and such in that movie. I don't know if Josh Schwartz never necessarily leans a specific way, but hearing John Casey dunk on Barack Obama and love Ronald Reagan tells me that they at least had the ability to be more than one-sided about their jokes on politics, and that's reminiscent of a bygone era. And I think that Zachary Levi could be a blueprint for more in Hollywood, but he's so odd and so rare compared to the rest of them that I don't think you're going to see more of this. I think that he will become anomalous and not the norm.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
All right, what would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
I think we should start with cute of the day.
Okay. Also,
the cringe is
like,
a doozy.
Like, if you're filming in California, just as an aside, like, I'm thinking, like, when you think of it, you think of, like, Southern California, where the weather's perfect all the time. Like, imagine you're making a movie in Texas, and it's got to be winter, and everyone's just sweating because they have to be in jackets the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
Doesn't sound fun to me.
But
all
filming in Canada doesn't sound pleasant either, so.
Love that. Much rather be cold than hot. All right. Cute of the day.
What do we got?
This one is from Red Pilled Normie. Can you be red pilled and be a normie?
I didn't think that was possible, but...
But then again, I call myself a normie. But I guess I don't
You're
think of
not
myself as red-pilled. Yeah.
Brett.
I'm not a
You're
red pill, bro.
blue-pilled. You're an NPC.
That's me. Capone and Milo, two brothers who sometimes really love each other. Happy Tuesday. Well, it's not Tuesday, but
I don't
thank
know
you.
which one is which, but the one that's like leaning on the footrest is really cute.
They're very cute.
I like the little nose on that one.
All right, let's do the cringe of the day. Oh, actually, guys, before we go on, remember you can submit your pets if you so would like to brag about them on here. If you're watching on Rumble, perhaps you don't know about this. You submit your pets to me on X at Brett Dasovic on there and hashtag PCC Pets. Send pictures, not videos, and we will get them featured on here.
Before we move to the cringe, Shane H. Wilder sent us a 20. Eeyore's birthday is a weird celebration where endests weirdo go to a downtown park to dance around. Wait, what? NDE? What is NDE? What is all of this Austin lingo? And get high all day? They call it a family event. It has always been culty AF. Nobody wants to see that.
Was it nudists? So that
Oh, you mean actual nudists. Oh, what? How is that legal?
It doesn't sound legal.
Are they nudists who just happen to be clothed that day?
Or are they nude and then everything is wrong?
So they're just allowed to go to the public park naked with children around? What is going on in Austin?
Keep Austin weird? No, keep Austin clothed.
Please.
Yeah.
Cover up Austin, actually.
All right, let's move on. Remember, you can submit your pets. Here's our cringe of the day that Mary submits. I have a feeling that some feelings are going to get hurt for them on this one, Mary. From
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is a video of the grand opening of Epic Universe, and it has a bunch of would-be Disney adults sprinting into line to enter.
This is it. This is it.
God forbid people have fun, Mary.
Wow.
It's cringy. I don't care what you say. Tell me that this isn't cringe.
This is
Go ahead, with a straight face. Tell me that this isn't cringe.
gosh.
It's not something I would do.
Well, that says enough, doesn't it?
Wow.
Wow.
This is madness. This is so cool. Oh my god.
And you know they're probably all spending thousands of dollars for this.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It is crazy to think that this is like a theme park because it looks like a town.
I love this.
Yeah?
Wow.
The way that they're all
Wow.
like, none of them are sprinting and none of them are walking. They're all like sprint
Trotting.
walking. They're doing professional fast walking.
Yes.
Crazy. Wow.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, that part, go back just to that part.
Okay.
That was crazy.
That guy.
This guy is a problem. I'm sorry. Like, tell me that that's not cringe. Go right ahead. Tell me
Look,
that.
who am I to tell these people not to enjoy their lives?
I will happily do it.
And I will admit the complete hypocrisy of dunking on Disney adults while not saying anything about this. It's my hypocrisy.
So cool. I think I'm gonna cry today.
What did he say?
I'm not
It
sure.
sounded like he said, I might cry today. If that's what he
Did he
said,
say that?
that is a problem.
Wow. Everyone's just writing the ministry. Oh, it's a standby. You can get in. Oh wait, this is crazy.
I'm with the chat. He seems lit. He seems very high.
No virtual queue. All right. I wonder how long the wait's gonna be today. What do you think?
This is
500?
just them
That-
racing
and
to get
really,
in a line.
That is why I will never be a theme park person more than anything, is because I despise standing in line.
All they were doing was excitedly running to get to the next line.
Gotta be right. Well, we're here at least, and the line's already started.
Look at that!
I keep hearing about income inequality in this country, but how
Who
can there
are
be
these
how can there
people?
be income inequality if you can afford to go do that?
We have another 20 from Stone Sting. Austin is quite literally the Portland of Texas. Yeah, it definitely seemed that way when I took a visit.
All right.
One of the worst cities I've ever visited, and it was only for like a day. And there was an incredibly dark energy around Austin, I must say.
Wait, what made it dark? What was dark about it?
Well, I could say, oh, it was, you know, the homeless people that were defecating in front of us. I could have said a lot of things, but really it's just this overwhelming sense of dread that you have in the city.
Okay.
There's nothing specifically that stood out. It's just there you can tell.
It's a vibe.
The vibes are severely off, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a real thing. You can't always explain it, but I mean, I feel like that's most of the things in my life. I can't explain it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started.
An Australian OnlyFans star who goes by the nickname Annie Knight embarked to copycat Bonnie Blue's famous, rather infamous OnlyFans stunt, where she slept with over 1,000 men in the span of 12 hours. And she ended up sleeping with 583 men in the span of 6 hours, which ended up landing her in the hospital with a medical emergency. And I've said this before with Bonnie Blue, with Lily Phillips, every copycat before or since. What you're doing here is clearly self-destructive on more than a mental or emotional level. This is like a veiled suicide attempt, because the chances of some guy showing up either to murder you or you sadly suffering some kind of real medical trauma by going to this extreme, it's kind of inevitable, right, that this would happen. And one person even guessed that Bonnie Blue was faking the entire thing as a prank, and you can tell that it was fake by the fact that the copycats are ending up in situations like this.
Wait, so they're saying it's just a prank, bro?
They're saying that Bonnie Blue might have been faking it if she was able to do it with no problem. But
I mean, I believe that. Just like I believe that most of the inflated numbers that the successful OnlyFans models are making are inflated.
This was Annie Knight's first post teasing the event, which took place last weekend. And it says, "Why is your body count literally in the thousands?" And it says, "God forbid I try to cure the male loneliness epidemic."
Yep.
Need I even articulate everything that's wrong with that sentiment? I mean, I don't think this proves anything other than the red pill and OnlyFans women have a symbiotic relationship, because if you listen to the red pill dudes, they will tell you the cure for the male loneliness epidemic is prostitution. That's what they will tell you. I think that's bullshit. And I mean, your loneliness definitely amounts more to a lack of sex.
You're approaching it from an actual intellectual perspective. They're not thinking about it that deeply.
They're just thinking about dunking, engagement farming, and all the same things that OnlyFans models think about. They're all after the same thing. That's
Annie
why
Knight
I say
is
they're
not
working
American.
together. Annie Knight is Australian, I said earlier.
Somebody asked if she was American.
Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips, however, are British.
The Americans, America can't even win the whore Olympics anymore. What's up with that?
I'm proud of us. This makes me feel patriotic.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, so American exceptionalism has failed so much so now that we can't even win in this category. That's just sad.
I know exactly how I feel about this, and it makes me feel proud of my country. So I want to play Annie Knight's vlog video from the day. Okay. Yeah, the behind the scenes.
Today, and I'm going to vlog the whole thing. This is my little before fit. This is what I look like before. I'm going to take Billy for a quick little WALK around the block, and then I'm out of here. Okay, taking Bill for a walk because I'm leaving him at home by himself for 10 hours. We're here.
That poor dog.
And I'll get my photos.
Yes!
Oh, look.
That doesn't even look like a bed.
On there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. So I've got like 12 staff members here helping me out.
But why does it look like she's in a prison cell?
When Lily Phillips did a challenge like this, she cried because she couldn't make all the men finish.
Hey guys, come in. You'll sign in here. Thank you. And then I'll see you back there.
Wow, she's greeting them at the front. How
Concierge
magnanimous.
service. Do you think they carpooled home?
All the guys, in my mind, they all took like a big bus in.
They
Bust them in. I mean, if it was going to be accurate, they'd take a train home.
Right. Posing for the photos.
While you're in there, what's the plan?
Mate, you're not allowed.
Quick take, Phil.
Whose decision was the pink masks?
Extra stamina I come from Melbourne all the way down to come to Gold Coast to see Annie here.
Just the piles of condoms.
Do I have to wear it?
Thank you.
Fun.
Yeah.
I just like every time I look up, there's in my face. And in the next group. Yeah.
That's
Just hydrating. I've just been railed by 106 guys, so my arms are a little bit sore.
I'm leaning towards fake. I mean, outside like, are these
The whole
actual
thing?
videos ever actually getting made? No, I mean, no, not. I guess not entirely. It'd be like hiring 500 extras for,
Well,
and then expecting nobody to talk.
A lot of people said that Bonnie Blue's video was fake as well because she never ended up putting the footage up on her.
Well,
OnlyFans.
they got prevented from doing so because there was no way to verify the ages.
Allegedly, but how'd you not plan for that?
Yeah.
They make it sound like she just didn't do the stunt at all.
I wonder if somebody volunteered to be 583.
Yikes! I hope.
Is that like?
That
Is
was,
that like? Maybe that person's just kind of like terminally late everywhere they go, and then they got stuck at 583.
154. That's to come, by the way.
Oh, yeah, really? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I had
The handshake at the
and
end.
he was me, and he had.
Nah,
The average is like 4 or 5 inches.
Annie, we're up to 356. Are you ready?
I'm always ready, babe.
I'm scared. Fantastic. Yeah.
That guy's like, yeah, you can see my face.
Thanks to Annie.
yeah.
Great day. Every bloke should get on down.
She wearing clogs.
Yes.
That's the real crime, ladies and
We have a
gentlemen.
fashion faux pas.
We have a fashion
Here we
faux
go.
pas.
What's my total count after this challenge? No idea. I have flashes of
Okay,
guys
wait. So it just flashed on screen.
2061.
Her official body count total now
Yeah.
is 2061 because she had been doing stunts like this before. In 2024, she vowed to sleep with as many men as possible, and that ended up being around 600 men. And it was almost 600 men in 6 hours this time.
Like the third comment says, you left your dog home alone for 10 hours.
Yeah, I was like, that poor dog, like sacrificing your dog's safety and comfort for your ability to get gangbanged. Like, okay. Then she followed up this stunt with a video of her appearing to be in a hospital bed. She's wearing this blue hospital gown. And it says, being hospitalized after taking 583 emoji in a day was not on my 2025 bingo card.
Can't even be creative with your titles.
Yeah. So this also seems fake.
Yeah, it didn't look like a real gown.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe anymore, but she did tell Us Weekly in an interview that this was a real incident, that she had an injury after the fact. Here's what she said. She confirmed that she experienced bleeding, which resulted in blood tests and further testing in the days that followed her challenge. I'm not doing very well. I've been bleeding a lot since the challenge. She noted also that she suffers from endometriosis. She added that she was unsure if the bleeding was a result of the challenge or her endometriosis. And that is a condition where tissue that is similar to the inner lining of the uterus grows outside of it. And then she shared on her Instagram 6 hours prior to the interview that she had been admitted into a hospital and captioned it, I guess 583 guys in a day isn't that good for your body. Shocker. I could have never guessed that.
I mean,
and then
look,
she said,
if it
I'll
wasn't for the
definitely,
fact-
she said, I'll definitely survive, but it is quite painful and unpleasant at the moment. But she also was shocked by how easy the challenge was proved to be. 583 in a day is a lot, so I was worried and I was going to really struggle with it, because most I've done before that was 24 in a day. And she received 2,000 registrations for Sunday's event, where she requested all participants wear protection, and she was hoping 200 would show up. That number was then more than doubled, and she recalled being absolutely stoked.
If it wasn't for the fact that I don't know how you keep it from being revealed that it was fake, like if they just hired a bunch of extras to stand around, I would say that it feels fake to me.
I did not see even 100 men in that video.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Like there no like glamour shot of the whole line of men out the door. They even did that for that All American Rejects video yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see any proof.
What? You saying that All American Rejects outdraw you? I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, and I think that her comment about Lily Phillips was really gross. She said 583 just wasn't enough, round 2, and this is her comment about Lily Phillips.
Lily Phillips cried after only doing 100. Like, I feel so good. I could do 100 more. I could do 200 more, probably. I don't know why Lily Phillips cried after only doing 100. Like, I feel so good. I could do 100 more.
Even though she, like, basically... I mean, I think it's
why.
pretty obvious that she lied about this.
These people all deserve each other.
Seriously.
There's a 20 there.
Like, okay, we have a 20 from Guitarist Gabe. Hello, off-topic question. Can you talk about the paranormal goings-on at the studio that Tim brought up today on Culture War? Happy Friday.
I don't know what studio that is.
He was mentioning it on, I think on IRL like a week ago, but we're not supposed to talk about it because it's related to someone's personal business.
Okay, well then we can't.
Sorry. And I just think, like, even if you're pro sex work and you're pro Lily Phillips doing what she did and you support it, and, you know, you think that she actually is happy as she claims to be, why would you say something like this?
This?
You know, she clearly was upset about something. Why are you trying to, like,
This one right here.
be this brazenly...
She's a hater.
Yeah,
She's
like,
a hater.
that just makes you look jealous, if anything.
She's a hater, and it draws clicks.
And I just, like, for Lily Phillips, I do believe that she is a disturbed person, like, who's probably showing, like, a real emotional reaction on camera after what she did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So am I. A real reaction to this crisis party.
This is my real reaction to a crisis party that you're watching right now.
I do agree. Arby's should sponsor. Unless you mean us, then I would love an Arby's
As I was
sponsorship.
saying,
Continue.
I think Lily Phillips was giving her a genuine reaction on camera afterwards when she was crying. But then, you know, pretended that it didn't happen later on. However, in the case of Bonnie Blue, she seems like an actual sociopath.
Annie Knight doesn't, but Bonnie Blue does.
I don't know anything. I don't know much about Annie Knight. I haven't, like, seen enough from her content to even know her personality, but Bonnie Blue seems like a genuine sociopath who actually isn't lying when she says she feels no emotion about what she does for a living. Lily Phillips, I don't buy. Like, here's another stunt that Bonnie Blue just pulled the other day.
Bonnie Blue is kind of dead behind the eyes.
All that a sociopath wants to do is escalate to the very top tier of the field they're in. That's all they care about doing, and they will step on anyone and do anything and take any risk to do that. That's what I see Bonnie Blue doing. I genuinely see no emotion behind her eyes.
And this
And
was
this
a
is her
stunt?
pretending to get arrested. This was the other day. And then people pointed out, well, the police car that you're seeing her get escorted into is owned by a company called Police Car Hire UK, which is hired by a lot of TV and film studios. And they asked this company whether Bonnie Blue had purchased or rented a car from them, and they said, due to NDAs, even if we did do this, we wouldn't be able to confirm it via our company or not.
And in the chat, says it's fake, guys. She staged this. Yes, that's the point. She's saying that she's a sociopath and that she's staging these things, and she doesn't care if she looks good or looks bad as long as it elevates her to the top of her industry. Social media, the social media sphere in particular, lends itself to sociopathic personalities these days because, as me and you have just discussed before, you kind of have to be okay with being hated for something that you're not. You have to be okay with being misinterpreted. And in this case, she doesn't care how she behaves as long as it brings her the notoriety that she wants within her industry.
Right.
I feel for you to care so deeply about these topics because of what it's doing to society. Maybe I'm just a bad person, but when I see this stuff, all I think about is like, all of these people are awful. They deserve each other. And I move on with my day.
Well, I mean, they are all awful in their own way, yeah. I just think that Bonnie Blue is particularly a sinister person because of the content she is making about teenagers and wanting to be a sex educator for young people. I find that really creepy. Anytime that you listen to her talk and you look into her eyes, it's just a blankness behind it. And she genuinely seems to not experience any emotions whatsoever compared to Lily Phillips, who at least has more of a sympathetic view in most people's eyes. She seems like someone who actually has a real self underneath it all, underneath the persona. That's similarly like what I believed about Nala when I met her on the Whatever podcast. Like, she at least seemed like she had a real personality underneath her online persona or brand. Bonnie Blue is just nothingness.
Dead behind the eyes.
Dead behind the eyes. Like, fully, like, she is actually, if I had to guess, a full-on sociopath.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get through some of these Rumble rants here. We will do these. So we will start at the top here. D. Garnett 1 says, hello, Brad and Marley. That's me.
Hi.
I'm Brad. She's Marley. I love your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd rather not be Brad. Can I be...
You don't get a choice.
I don't want to be Brad.
Well, I didn't want to be Marley, so.
Oh, you know. Deep South EDC says, Disney adults are so gross. I had an older childless employee who went to Disney World twice a year. I met another Disney dude with Disney tats a few years ago. So cringe. Okay, if somebody wants to go to Disney World twice a year, that doesn't actually offend me nearly as much as having a Disney tattoo.
There are so many better places to go on vacation. That's what offends me about it. Like, not only is it exorbitantly expensive, prohibitively expensive for most, but you're gonna go multiple times a year when you could actually do something interesting, go somewhere interesting.
It's interesting to them.
It's really not. It just shows that you have bad taste.
Deep South EDC says, again, he says, the Australian accents make it so much worse.
Yeah.
And then the local Wendigo just put like a lot of W's.
Well,
So,
thanks.
All right, let's move on.
Shane H. Wilder said, happy Friday, Brett and Mary. The town crier announced the new decree that all topics on PCC are pop culture. Great job surviving IRL, Mary. It was rough.
See, I imagine you were going to have a great time. Okay, so Scott Horton's a name I hear all the time. I have no idea who he is. I didn't know anything about him. I just knew that people said that him and Nilad were going to argue.
Yeah, I had my hopes set on watching them fight about Israel and Palestine.
Is that what happened?
Basically the whole night. It wasn't... Okay, it did get pretty heated, but not for as long as I wanted. Phil kind of had to put a stop to it at a certain point, and I was, like, loving the drama, so...
You're literally the popcorn meme,
right.
like, watching back and forth as they're doing it. You're Tom Cruise going like this with your popcorn.
Yeah, I wanted them to, like, start screaming and jumping on top of the table at that point. But Phil put a stop to it because we have to change the subject.
I've
eventually.
also, like, knock on wood, but I've never been on a show that got pulled.
Well,
like, I've never been on one.
I have either.
I've never been on one of these shows
that often.
I've never been on. Yeah, but it's happened more than once, and I've never been on a show where somebody said something insane, and Tim's like, wrap it up.
Oh.
I've never been on.
Well, it's happened like, what, like 2 times?
It's happened more than that.
I don't know.
Let's do 2 more.
Greg Duvier said, after last night, Timcast IRL, Mary is now an expert in the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. Use that knowledge to save the Congo.
You could. I don't know how, but perhaps there's something to do with, like, where the Congo's located in the global theater and defense.
I definitely would not consider myself an expert on
If Israel has
that
the
conflict
Iron Dome and
or any
America is
conflict.
getting a golden dome, then does the Congo have like a green dome? They need a dome.
don't even
Everybody
know what
needs
that
everybody
means.
needs a dome now to protect themselves from outside forces.
Jose Quintana sent us a 20. These women are living soulless tragedies being used by all who encourage or view these demonic acts. I hope and pray they can stop. My staycation has taken me to Ground Zero, Chinatown, and MoMA. Long live PCC.
Awesome.
Well, it sounds like it's easy to staycation if you live in a city like that.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. We will come back.
All right. So Kim Kardashian has been studying for law school for over 6 years now. And she just posted on Instagram celebrating her graduation, which never actually took place. She's lying to everyone about having graduated law school and becoming a lawyer, when in reality, it's much simpler than that. She has not even taken, let alone passed, the bar exam in California. But let's show this video that she put up of her graduation ceremony.
I love
her
that
fake graduation
I love
ceremony.
that it got community noted. I know you're not a fan of community notes, and they do get
Not
used,
most of the time.
They get used as dunks now, but this is true. Here we go.
It's an absolute honor to stand here today, not just as mentors, but as witnesses to one of the most inspiring legal journeys we've ever seen.
Woo, woo, woo! Okay, I'm not one of those people that like lives for like the how colleges love the hard luck story. You know, the joke is always like you can have a 4.0 GPA or you can have a crappy childhood. Either or will get you in college. But I would rather hear the hard luck story person getting into law school about their inspiring journey than the Kim Kardashian sex tape to law school pipeline and have to treat it like that's some type
Humble
of inspiring
beginnings.
humble beginnings as Ray J's hoe.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
6 years ago, Kim Kardashian walked into this program with nothing but a fierce desire to fight for justice. No law school lectures, no ivory tower shortcuts.
Someone's ringtone, the woo woo, and then the ringtone.
Just determination and a mountain of case law books to read. Over the course of this program, Kim has dedicated 18 hours a week, 48 weeks a year, for 6 straight years.
Press X
That's a
it
total
out.
of
Well, I mean, I just saw recently that with the new Medicare cuts there, the Medicaid cuts, that there's going to be work requirements or some type of public service requirements if you're going to have Medicare. Maybe she just wants to have health insurance. Maybe that's what it is.
18 hours a week from Kim over 6 years. I don't buy it. I just don't.
5,184 hours of legal study. That's time she carved out while raising 4 children, running businesses, filming television shows, and showing up in courtrooms to advocate for others.
Because she's
still looking
such
gorge.
A boss bitch, and she's still looking gorge.
I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be rude. But this was also something that we were talking about on IRL the other night when this like Tennessee rep was like with her girlfriend, like her best friend in a car obstructing ICE agents. And she's like with the girls obstructing ICE agents. And she's like hitting her phone with her fake press-on nails. And I'm just like, these are not serious people. And it's one thing to not be a serious person when you're talking about unserious things. But when you talk about serious things like politics or law, and you talk about them in an unserious, LOL so random girl boss way, it makes it harder for people to take you seriously, and by and large makes it necessary for you guys to have those women's conferences, because you're setting yourself up at a disadvantage because nobody really wants to buy into it. So then you have to have your women's conferences.
Was that the end of
No,
the ceremony?
It's almost the end of it here. Hold on.
Okay.
But perhaps the most extraordinary part isn't the hours, the books, or the tests.
Okay.
It's the
It's the what? I don't know what the last word was.
It's the.
I'm dying to know.
And then this was Kim Kardashian's Instagram post about her fake graduation, not telling anyone that it's fake. 6 years ago, I embarked on an unconventional path to pursue my dream of becoming a lawyer. It wasn't easy, and it took longer than planned, but I never gave up. Each course brought moments of doubt, tears, and triumph, especially when I conquered subjects I initially feared. That's the beauty of life. You step into the unknown, push through, and emerge with knowledge and strength no one can take away. I chose a rigorous program registered with the California State Bar, building on 75 college credits to complete a 4-year curriculum that stretched to 6. The journey was real, and so is the accomplishment. Here's the thing, though. The accomplishment that everyone is reporting Kim Kardashian has is graduating law school, when in fact that is not what she did. She completed California's law office study program, which is an opportunity to study under a supervising attorney at their law office. So you can essentially skip law school entirely. So she had not taken the bar exam. She never took it and failed it even. She's just not like an actual lawyer. That's just not the truth of the situation.
So she finished this program. Is she allowed to practice?
No.
Okay.
She's not allowed to practice unless she can pass the bar exam, which I doubt she can.
This just prevents her from needing to do the coursework at a college.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the LOSP, known as reading the law instead of going to law school. So
this is what Mike Ross should have done in Suits.
Well, maybe she was taking her sister Courtney's advice when Courtney said, "Why should kids effing go to school? Why?"
I think living authentically is not conforming. I do it with everything. It's not about our family.
Living
like, let's say the school
authentically.
system. I'll think, why do kids go to school? Truly. It's so dated.
Oh, I'm such a homeschool person, so don't even get me going.
So then I'll start thinking, and then like, you know, my kids will send me videos about like, why do kids go to school? It'll be like really successful people, and they'll be like, my kids
of course, if your kids
never
are
go to
sending you
school.
TikToks about wanting to not go to school, you should just not send them to school.
This argument never worked when I was young.
Yeah. But I've noticed this trend where a lot of baddies are letting the world know that they're really, really smart, like super smart, including Hailey Bieber in this Vogue interview, just casually showing the audience her very well-used philosophy books that she
it is
has in her purse
noted.
at all times.
It is community noted. It says this is a snippet of a longer video from Vogue magazine and is intended
Yes,
as
I am aware that it's satire.
Okay, here we go.
These are just a couple of books that I've been reading. I love this one. Probably my 4th or 5th time reading it. So good. Another one that I've been loving recently. This is actually my 2nd copy of it. Yeah. Been taking a lot of notes from this one.
I mean, this would be funnier if the copies were brand new.
Hailey Bieber is just casually reading Kant and Nietzsche.
What does Justin Bieber read then? Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, probably reads candy bar labels.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he reads, the tag on his shirt when it's inside out.
Well, some of those tags, if you buy your clothes from a Kitchenuff outfitter, has like funny like words on the tags and stuff like that.
That
funny
can be
phrases.
entertaining for some of us. There are a lot of celebrities who run their own fan book clubs, actually. This was something that started up in the middle of lockdown period in 2020. Including Emma Watson and Florence Welch, Reese Witherspoon, Emma Roberts, Oprah Winfrey, and Kaya Gerber, Oprah Winfrey, supermodel.
Oprah Winfrey might be the most famous book club person.
That I would give her a pass.
Yes.
Actually. But I'm sorry. It just struck me as a little odd that Dua Lipa has a niche podcast dedicated to interviewing authors of her favorite books called Service 95. This is her digital book club.
I mean, it's not. It doesn't even say Service 95 with Dua Lipa, so I actually got to give her credit for like just doing it for the love of it.
Yeah, this was the easiest one to believe, but I feel like you can never trust these faux intellectuals online.
Cormac McCarthy. They're adapting lots of Cormac McCarthy in Hollywood now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So one of the books on Dua Lipa's reading list is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, how
interesting.
Deep. That's so deep.
That's some high-level stuff.
Look,
one of her episodes was dedicated to interviewing Monica Lewinsky.
It could have been worse. Who remembers all the montages of LeBron James reading just the first page of a book?
I take it back, though. The name of her podcast is actually Dua Lipa at Your Service.
Damn, never mind then.
Not the Dua Lipa podcast, but still.
But Service 95 doesn't have her name in it.
No.
Okay,
No.
I respect that.
She needs to make a Substack.
Yeah,
You know?
that would be great.
That'd be some good content.
Look, there's nothing wrong with being erudite. There's nothing wrong with being literate. But
there is something wrong with lying about graduating law school.
there is definitely something wrong with, or not even lying.
She's wearing like a custom graduation
not even
gown.
lying. It's the weasel words.
Yeah, she
It's
she
the-
wanted people to believe she had done something she hadn't done.
Yes.
And I found that disingenuous.
I mean, I just thought it was funny because it's like this inspiring journey. Yes, you too can be inspired when the billionaire goes to law school, but not really.
People need to get up off their ass and work.
See, that's my favorite quote of hers.
Was that the quote?
It was something like that.
It's
It was like you just need to get up and work.
Get up off your ass and work.
Like, I love it because it's actually not bad advice, but you're rife to be, you're gonna be dunked on for it.
Well, look, she didn't work for her fame.
I mean, she worked for it. It was just work on your back. It's a different type of work.
Yeah.
And that was mostly her mom doing that work because of all the promotion.
She built on it for sure.
But absolutely. No,
Yeah.
we've like being a successful business person is a skill set. It's just funny when like you have all of these accolades and you don't want to just focus on that. You want to go on and do something more. Now there is probably good stuff to say about her bipartisanism and her willingness to talk to any president when it comes to prison reform, which is interesting, mildly interesting.
I didn't hear anything about Kim Kardashian trying to free J6 political prisoners, but
I mean, you're going to a very specific subset, but yes.
Seems a little bit partisan.
She'd rather get the weed smokers out of jail, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
Mr. Joker said, "It's my B-day, and I have but only one humble request. Can you ask Tim to borrow his giant laser and write my name on the moon like Chairface Chippendale?"
Sure, I can ask.
We can ask. It doesn't mean that we will.
This isn't a super
But happy
chat.
birthday.
Happy birthday. This isn't a super chat, but Brian in the chat says H.G. Wells was a woman, according to Warehouse 13. Yes, Jamie Murray played H.G. Wells in Warehouse 13. That is one of those gender swaps that I don't really care about because it was so long ago. Like, the first appearance of that character was in the early seasons, so we're talking like 2010. And it didn't have the same. It had all of the feminist messaging and gender stuff that you expect, but somehow, just by virtue of when it was made, it's not as annoying as the stuff you hear now.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy birthday, Mr. Joker and Greg. You actually got something out of it last night. All I got was feeling bad for Phil, Serge, and Mary." Well, Phil was kind of egging it on, to be fair. He wanted a
Phil knows
debate
what
to
makes a good
happen.
show.
Yeah, he's trying to make good content for all of us. I was certainly enjoying watching it, but I didn't think it was fair of Elad to say that that Scott Horton doesn't know what he's talking about. That's a little crazy.
Elad said that.
To say that. Because this guy has a book about the subject that's like literally, it sits on a table this tall. And we're going to say that this guy hasn't done enough research.
Yeah.
Like, you could say that he's done a lot of research and, like, just has the
you
wrong
could say that you disagree with his
take on it.
conclusion. I
Yeah.
mean, but what he's saying is, like, that's just a phrase.
Yeah, exactly.
He
He was at a certain point, I felt like he was just trying to get a rise out of him and, you know, was talking to the camera a lot. But it's fine. It's for entertainment value. Shana Twelder said no PCC, so no plans for Memorial Day. Might go to daily mass and cook something. Your opinion, should I cook pork rips or chicken on Memorial Day?
Ribs.
It didn't say ribs, though. Oh, he said pork ribs. That typo's on me. I was like, what is a pork rib? I think that you should make chicken because I don't like pork ribs.
Alexa in the chat says, wasn't Warehouse 13 based on The Librarian? I mean, there's definitely similarities there, but then they did a show called The Librarians, which is actually based on it. But there's a lot of similarities in them.
Dingus Khan said you guys should sell a shirt that says if you don't like PCCs, you can gongo F yourself. I don't want to put the gongo next to an expletive. That would dishonor the whole country.
That is fairly rude.
Yeah.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back. Let's move on. This one's hilarious.
A woman on TikTok went viral after sharing a story that her husband made her cry after they went on a dinner date to go see Sinners together. And she got very excited about the movie. He couldn't relate, and he said, it's just a movie. That's what set her off. And her first mistake, of course, was sharing this with a bunch of strangers on TikTok. The result was predictably a bunch of teenagers telling her that she needs to get a divorce and she's being abused.
What makes you think it's teenagers saying this and it's not women in their 20s?
I mean, I have a level of TikTok literacy at this point that I know who's typing what.
Okay. All right.
I can pretty much tell. And she needs to now defend her husband against an army of angry people who don't know him and have never interacted with him in their lives.
Which is why you're not supposed to share these types of disagreements with people, because they don't have any of the actual interaction between the two of you as a baseline. So it's also why you're not supposed to talk about difficult issues with people that you don't actually know on the internet, because again, when you have a disagreement with someone in the real world, there's all sorts of shared experience that connects you, that allows you to get through it, whereas in the digital world, none of that is there.
She just looks miserable.
Here we go.
My husband decided to be spontaneous and take me to the movies last night. And when we went to dinner afterwards, I was talking about how much I really loved the movie. It was so good. I was so excited to talk about it. And he looks at me dead in my face and says, it was just a movie. And I immediately stopped talking. So the more I sat there and thought about it, I start crying. It gets really uncomfortable. And he tries to break the silence by continuing to talk. And I finally looked at him and I said, that really hurt my feelings. And he responded, it was just a movie. I said, I was really excited to talk about it. You took me to see this movie on a whim. I've never heard of it, didn't look it up beforehand, and I really loved it. You picked a great movie. And I was so excited. And now I don't want to talk at all. Because why would I want to talk after that? And he immediately stops. He's like, you're right, I'm sorry. And then he grabs my hands. He's like, I'm not even being sarcastic. You're right, I'm sorry. I love when you get excited. It's just annoying sometimes. I recognize that he is trying and he is learning how to communicate with me. It's not an overnight process, but it is very painful. He's still new to his healing journey, so I just have to keep remembering that.
Wait, when he said, I love when you get excited, it's just annoying sometimes.
I felt that. Here's the thing.
Wow.
The number one thing here is that this should never be shared with social media.
Of course.
Ever. But
Yeah.
But in the real world, I'm much more like her than I am him, in that I'm the one who gets excited about movies and television shows, and if somebody's just like, shut the fuck up,
well, then would you cry?
I wouldn't cry, but I would definitely be like, well, fuck these bitches. Fuck y'all. Okay, I'll give you the real world equivalent to this for me. So as you guys know, I'm deaf in one ear. And what will happen is if I'm in a room full of people, sometimes it's very hard to hear what's going on, and I will either talk too loudly or too quietly. In private, like with one other person, what happens is I tend to talk too loudly, and people will be like my whole life, they're like, could you be quiet? Like, could you just tone it down a little bit? I'm blowing their eardrums out, right? And no matter how politely they're like, could you tone it down a little bit? I get petty. I'm like, okay, fine, you want me to talk like this? Because fuck you. It's not their fault. It's literally not their fault. It's my fault, but I'm petty. And I will get that way every single time. If I'm her, I wouldn't have cried. I would have just been really petty. I would have changed the subject to something he wants to talk about. Be like, oh, so how's your crypto portfolio? And he's like, oh, it's great. Actually, my Doge is it's just a cryptocurrency. And just turn it around on him. Turn about his fair play.
I would probably start making like observational comments about like how well the food is seasoned, like just really boring stuff if I were trying to get petty. But the pettiest thing you could possibly do is make a TikTok about it. You're right. And this reminded me of a scenario we talked about on the show not too long ago between Miley Cyrus and her ex-husband Liam Hemsworth.
Dulling your show.
They were on a red carpet together, and Miley Cyrus pretended to lick Liam Hemsworth, and he said something to her akin to, can you just behave yourself? And he seemed to be angry at her, at least according to people who interpreted the video later on. He might have been joking, we'll never know. But the entire comment section on that video was, he's dulling her shine. He hates her. He wants to steal the spotlight from her. He doesn't really love her. They should have gotten divorced. She's better off without him. This is why she wrote flowers. And the comment section under this TikTok from this random, ordinary woman sounded exactly the same way, with countless people saying, your husband doesn't really love you. He hates you, actually, and you should get a divorce immediately, or else you're going to be abused for the rest of your life. One of the responses also said, Jennifer Lewis was right. It's not just the pink trees. I didn't know what this was referring to. I did some research. Jennifer Lewis, an actress, told this story about why she broke up with her boyfriend, and this is it. It's because he isn't able to appreciate a pink tree.
Example of why I had to get rid of him. We're driving on the car, driving on a big car. Life is great, and I come up on an Australian tree that I know is extinct, but it blooms pink. They're a fucking pink tree. Of course, I'm gonna acknowledge it. So we're driving, and I go, "Oh, that's a pretty tree." Him. You say that about every tree.
Go off, King.
I was like, well, you gotta go. The fuck is wrong with you? I'm sorry, but don't them bitches help us breathe?
So what do you think? Was she justified?
I mean, they would never have been happy anyways. They're disparate personalities. So she's right. It's just stupid.
You know what it is?
Find somebody who... Here's the thing. If you want a dude who's even like a tiny bit masculine and a guy who gets really excited over pink trees, you're going to be searching forever.
So
because he's probably gay.
Well, you would hope that he'd say something like,
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
like,
that is really pretty.
So, and this goes for both. This goes for both genders, that you have to find a way to politely cater to the interests of your significant other, not because you care deeply about what they care about, but because you care about them, and what they care about there, by and large, also now matters to you. Okay? And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to learn to expand how you see the world and have a little bit of empathy for your partner's interests, because you understand that your life is not your own anymore. You're living a life for two people now.
Okay, if you get annoyed at something as innocuous as your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife making a comment about a pretty tree or talking about a movie that they liked, I can almost guarantee the problem is not that they're being annoying. It's probably that you were annoyed at something totally different like a week ago that you didn't talk about. And now it's like buried inside you subconsciously, and you're getting annoyed at them later on, having no idea there was a connection.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like these people are probably incompatible because they're not able to talk to each other like adults. This follow-up TikTok is the same wife addressing a comment that says, your happiness bothers him. There is some veiled hatred there. Whatever his journey is, you deserve a partner who enjoys you. And here she defends him and says she's not going to leave him over him saying it's just a movie.
Because these people have no shared experience with either of them. When you, before we get into it, but when you disagree with someone, right, and you share that story with your girlfriends or your friends, what you're doing is you're gambling on the fact that they don't have the same connection to him that you do. And all of us are flawed. None of us are perfect. And relationships in many ways involve a whole lot of give and take. And so you're asking your friend's opinion on something where your natural state is going to take the situations where you're disagreeing. And because you love them, you give them the benefit of the doubt because there's love there.
Right.
You're asking your friends for advice on that is patently insane. Asking the
friends,
internet.
yeah.
No, I don't even think asking your friends is insane. Asking the internet is psychopathic behavior. And I would argue it's probably closer to attention seeking for yourself than it is looking for actual attention. I don't know if that's the case here.
She just wanted to go to TikTok for sympathy.
She didn't understand that the internet isn't there to help you. The internet is there to judge you or the people you bring into their lives via your stories.
Right.
Are correct. There is hatred here, but it's not for me. It's for himself. He hates my joy and excitement because he has nothing to feel joyful or excited about. And that's
okay, never mind. He should leave her.
Okay, no one should be leaving anyone over a TikTok.
After he said it was sometimes annoying. The comments were not surprising. I actually almost didn't read them because I knew exactly how they were going to go. I started my healing journey in August of 2022. In the first year of my healing journey, I crashed out at least 2 to 3 times a month. And he was there to take the beating. Every single time. When you start healing and reconnecting with your higher self, your brain thinks it's in danger and it starts to project and deflect to whoever is closest to you.
If she's not a therapist, this is bullshit.
Even if she is a therapist, this is bullshit.
Therapy speak has done more damage to the female psyche than anything in the Western world in the last 20 years.
In my case, it was usually my husband, and now in his case, it is me. If I didn't feel like he was trying, I would not be here. I am secure in myself enough to know that I can make it on my own if I have to.
I'm secure enough in myself to know that I can make fun of my husband and not take what you guys say seriously.
I advocate for myself 100% of the time. 3 years ago, he wouldn't have even known that that upset me. And yesterday, he had to sit in that discomfort. Oh, and also, most women don't recognize when these red flags happen, so it is great when you point them out in the comments in a very respectful way. I love how most of you did it. However, the ones who are saying you should just leave him, we met in 2007. We have 3 kids together. A lot of our life is very intertwined. You can't just go. You have
Jeez,
to.
if this were my spouse's excuse for not divorcing
She's
me, like it would be really inconvenient. Holy shit.
She's like, I have to stay with him. The sunken cost fallacy. Are you kidding
me?
Plan things.
Okay.
Wow. And the caption here says, like clockwork, here her response to the comments telling her that she deserves better. Should have just kept it with your group chat. I don't know why women tell us about how bad their BFs or husbands are, then come back to defend them. I agree. I don't know why they do it either.
Keep that
I think
shit
that she
off
went
the
to
internet.
TikTok in the first place so that she could get people to feel bad for her and didn't anticipate all of the hatred that they were going to send to her husband. She should have known better, but she probably thought that people were going to be like, oh, I feel for you. I'm so sorry. Like something similar happened to me, blah, blah, blah. That she didn't anticipate the entire comment section to be talking shit about her husband and the father of her children. Yeah. But that's what it turned into, naturally, as the internet often does. And yeah, it shouldn't have even been kept in a group chat. It shouldn't be in a friend group for discussion. You have to worry enough these days about, you know, maybe your spouse has a toxic friend group who is going to encourage them to, you know, go back on the commitment they made, let alone the influence of thousands, if not millions of people online who only want to see destruction.
Yeah, and it's a spectator sport for all of them.
Yeah.
And sharing those stories are crazy work. And look, the amount of therapy speak that I just heard was so insane.
My healing journey this.
His
my healing journey that.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
You know, if you want to punish him, you're probably already doing that by talking in therapy language 24/7. So he's probably already. The fact that he said it's just kind of annoying is.
I love when you get excited. It's just annoying sometimes. You know what? Like, props for being honest, I guess.
Yeah.
He was probably pissed at her for her behavior.
But look, I don't.
It's been drawn out over the last 3 years.
He did go about it the wrong way by saying it's just a movie. Like that was wild. Like, I get, like, what would the equivalent be for him? Like, they go. So, was there any type of like?
Imagine if like they went to the Grand Canyon and they're driving home and she's like, "Wow, that was just so beautiful. Like, I can't believe it." And he's like, "It's just a rock formation."
Well, no, this going the other way would be like they go to they win the World Series. They're going home and he's riding high. She's like, "It's just a baseball game."
Yeah.
Like, you should learn to be joyful for your significant other when things that are going well in their lives bring them excitement, because that's a rare thing in the world and it's a beautiful thing.
Especially because it was his idea in the first place.
Yeah, he should be like, score. Like,
yeah.
If anything, he could have used it. Have you ever seen, like, when people would be like, I didn't realize when I was younger, when my parents would say, "Wow, you're so good at washing the dishes. You're so good at drying the dishes," as a way to like trick them into like helping. She's like, "Wow, you're so good at picking movies," so that he'll take her to the movies more.
Mm-hmm.
She could have used this against him in another, mental gymnastics way.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's finish these super chats.
Nick Rogue said, "It's funny that Jenna Ortega didn't want to be typecast in horror roles, but that's all people seem to like her in." Well, Hurry Up Tomorrow is like a psychological thriller, so that kind of counts. And then, what was something girl? Miller's Girl?
Miller's Girl.
That was more of a drama.
That was like an erotic thriller.
Yeah, and then...
Maybe she's just not thrilling.
Maybe she's not thrilling. Yeah.
Like, maybe she needs to, like...
maybe she just needs to be in corny horror movies. Yeah. That was weird.
She's just not thrilling, and that's okay. Like, not everybody's thrilling.
She should just do, like, CGI slop horror movies.
There you go.
I want to see her in Megan 3. How about that?
There you go. I think that's a
Jenna
good idea.
Ortega fighting Megan.
That would be iconic.
I want to see that.
As the ladies would say.
Value in You? Or no, Adam said, "Brett, all of that, but as a Batman movie?" Ballerina?
No, I'm guessing he means all of those things that I described as the type of movie I would want to make. No, not a Batman movie. You know what? Like, what I like is, like, they talk about how in the show Person of Interest that the John Reese character is basically modeled after Bruce Wayne. I'd rather make something that kind of echoes a character but be its own thing. Plus, if you do a studio movie, then they're going to hamper you with all these restrictions and things that you have to do.
I don't know. Whatever they're doing with Batman right now, it's not going to work.
Well, there isn't anything going on. They still haven't gotten their script for the Batman 2 Electric Boogaloo, and there is no Batman in James Gunn's universe yet.
Morgan Xavier said, in the movie The Baby of Macon, I think it's Macon, Julia Ormond's character is raped to death by all the townsmen as punishment. The great cast doesn't cover the yuck.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, that is something I am never going to watch. Thanks for letting me know. Pop Culture Junkie said there is an existing Austin film community, partially courtesy of Robert Rodriguez and South by Southwest, but not quite sure they would be potential cult members.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez will do his own thing.
Pop Culture Junkie said here in Orlando in the 80s, there was an attempt to use inducements to encourage film production. Then a new mayor got elected who didn't like the morals of the film people and killed the subsidies.
Sounds about right.
I mean, that sounds kind of based, if you ask me, but... not productive.
I like it. Like you go look into it. It's the opposite. It's like they gave subsidies. They're all Christian movies, and the new guy comes in. He's like, nah.
The mayor, like
none of that.
He's like a cartoon villain. The Last of My Kind said Texans view Austin the same as the USA looks at LA. Austin is pretty bad, but I also visited Dallas. Hated it, but I wasn't there for that long. I can't say I have a final judgment. It was the hottest place I'd ever been in my life.
Yeah, who wants to make movies
It was
in like
insane.
in like a microwave?
I think I showed up there like in July. Whenever I was on Alex Stein's show, actually, and there was a heat wave going on at the same time I showed up, and I thought about like maybe I should take a walk around like the area
And
just
you
while I have
melted.
some free time, and I would have just died.
Yeah.
Would have just keeled over and died.
I don't know if I could do that. Like I need
Insane.
colder weather.
Yeah.
I don't want winter though. I lived in Minnesota for a lot of years. Like I don't want to go back to like we're kind of in a good, like if it wasn't for like the treacherous conditions like on the roads here, because you're not on main roads to get to the office, this would be perfect because you don't really get a whole lot of snow.
It's 61 degrees right now.
Perfect.
and
Literally perfect.
It's too damn
weather.
chilly. It's
60
too
is
damn
perfect.
chilly.
Give me 65 degrees all year round. I'm happy.
Too damn chilly. I can't do it. Hiroshima Otaru said, didn't Austin steal Portland's gay little motto? I didn't know it was Portland's motto to begin with, was it?
They fight back and forth for it.
You don't need to fight to keep Portland weird. That's just
It's gonna happen anyways.
baked in. Shane H. Wilder said, all I will say is that there is a reason I live in the outskirts of Austin and not in Austin proper.
Makes sense.
Many good
Makes
reasons for
sense.
that. It's also like people say things like, oh, but the food though. Like I hate when people say stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean the food? Like you can get food anywhere. Food is food. Any city has the same food as any other city.
It's
For the
nourishing.
most part, it's not special. The Last of My Kind said Austin is the hernia of Texas. It's maybe more accurately described as the shit stain of Texas's underwear. Sorenko Productions said this is why healthcare shouldn't be subsidized. What is why? What were you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Annie Knight
Yeah.
going to the hospital. Cold Leftovers said 583 in 6 hours is 1.6 minutes per man. How does she have the time to shake hands and rehydrate and get interviewed during breaks? Maybe lots of Eiffel Towers.
Yeah.
Well, that would not officially break the record then, so I think she probably faked the whole thing.
Possible.
If I had to guess. The Last of My Kind said hearing non-Texans speak positively of Austin is the sciatic nerve pain of all other Texans. Arby's sponsorship, PCC, we have the meats.
I would welcome an Arby's sponsorship in a second. I would.
I hated Austin, so
Like, you know, like one of my favorite things is like when you watch like sporting events and they have the obligatory drink that they don't drink the whole time. It just sits there. So WWE would have events that are sponsored by
Like
Mountain
this.
Dew, and the Mountain Dew bottle would just
sponsored by Stanley.
and the Mountain Dew bottle would just sit there unopened the whole show. Because people who are health conscious don't drink Mountain Dew anyways. Sponsor me with Mountain Dew. I will break my soda ban and I will drink it on air.
We're not sponsored by Stanley or
Mountain Dew.
Icelandic. Red Snow said the Gongo has the Dimmadome in Dimsdale, Gongo. Duh.
Okay.
You're right.
Who built it?
Brett doesn't get that
I don't get
reference.
it. I don't get it.
Did you watch Fairly Odd Parents?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's the Dimmadome. It's a thing.
So can we? So, again, does that mean that we get our own dome here? Are we getting the what do they call it? The Golden Dome? Are we getting our own dome here?
Under the Dome,
Yeah.
underrated show.
I tried rewatching it recently. Everybody's such a dick.
They
Like,
are.
All the characters are dickheads to everybody. Like I got like it's one of those things. I have to be in a specific mood
They're all
to
pretty
watch that show.
terrible.
Like I got into it. I was like 20 minutes in. I'm like, fuck this guy and fuck
Wasn't
that
that
guy
filmed
too.
in Virginia?
Might have been.
I'm pretty sure it was because I was in the middle of watching it while it was still good in like the first season,
Yeah.
and then I visited the town. But
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I didn't even know that I was in the same town until someone told me later in the day, and I was like, wait, I thought the courthouse looked familiar.
That lead actor is maybe the most generic. The guy who plays the lead.
What was his name?
I don't even know the actor's name, and he is as generic. Like, at least Jericho had Skeet Ulrich, who was popular because of Scream in the late 90s, and he had his own kind of unique look. That guy was so generic, it's almost shocking how not that he's not like he looks like a Hollywood actor, he looks like a TV actor, but my goodness, he could be anybody.
I'm looking him up. Mike Vogel is in... I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
Yeah.
Rachel Lefebvre, she's great.
I mean, the rest of the cast under the main ones, like not those first four, but like Dean Norris, Eddie Cahill are big TV actors. Oddly enough, Aisha Hines went on to be very successful. Natalie Martinez... like you've seen a lot of them, but like this dude was just like it was the early 2005. He should have been on a CW show is what he should have been on. He looks like he would be on, doesn't he? Like he looks like a CW actor.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't look like a network television actor to me.
Pete Donovan said, Mary, I saw matcha flavored Kit Kats. Yay or nay? I give that a big yay, but I have not tried it. So I'm going to have to find that somewhere. Also, only
5'9", short for a leading man. Hollywood actors are short, but 5'9" is... Oh, that makes perfect sense. He came up second in the role for Captain Kirk in Star Trek, and that makes sense given the fact that Chris Pine got it. He's Chris Pine coded.
Yeah, I see it. Pete Donovan said, you won't own your own home, so sweet, treat yourself.
Yeah.
You know I will. Rusty Shackelford said, I'm inspired by her almost making it by faking it. I mean, yeah, the dedication to the bit, at least. Shane H. Wilder said, PCC Book Club when? We can read Mary manuscript? I have a manuscript?
You should have a Substack with book reviews.
I have made a Substack account, but I have not published anything on it, so that's on hold for the time being, but I would like to use it. Kyle Dixon said, Mary, I was disappointed you didn't insist the Holy Land belongs to Rome last night. That would have lowered the temperature. I don't know if that would have worked, really. I think no one would have taken kindly to me saying that.
He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm sorry, Anthony Starr gets all my roles now. Anthony Starr is the better actor.
Aaron Swain said...
I'm done clowning on this guy.
Yeah, you're
I'm being
firing
a little petty
shots
now,
at him
like,
for no reason.
Like, just perfectly, like, normal,
He's gonna see this.
handsome dude in Hollywood, and I'm just over here like, yeah, it's like those... It's like being
what a fucking clown.
It's like being the, like, my fat ass being like, look at these losers on American Ninja Warrior not winning.
What the fuck?
Like, I have room to talk.
Why can't they get through that obstacle course? Like, I would totally do that one. Aaron Swain said, wonder how much she'd have cried when I told her Sinners was mid. Yeah, at that point, the marriage would be over. Rusty Shackelford said, Chad level over 9,000. Shane H. Wilder said, Kay, I guess I'm barbecuing chicken then. I approve. DCNC said, the F do you see an extinct tree while driving? I don't know. That wasn't really the point of the story. It just happened to be pink, okay? And she liked it. Rusty Shackelford said, it's cringe how women act like crying is a superpower. Do we?
And what?
Brett, be honest.
What do they mean by that? I don't know what they mean by that.
Hey, maybe it is. It actually is. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't know this. I have a little fact.
Okay.
A science fact. You're gonna be terrified when you learn this.
Okay.
The pheromones in female human tears lower testosterone levels in human males when sniffed.
So if a woman cries and a guy sniffs the tears, he will become less masculine.
I mean, his testosterone will
drop.
lower. I don't know by how much, but it's true.
If it was a superpower, then it would be rare. but women cry all the time. So
sounds like a superpower to me. I can instantly lower your T whenever I want.
Okay. Hey, I was just telling that story the other day about how when they were making the X-Files movie, I meant to bring this up when I did this video on AI about the AI filmmaking process, about how when they were making the X-Files movie, they have a bee on Gillian Anderson's shoulder that goes up her knee and into her collar, and they moved the real-life bee up her shoulder by blowing pheromones in the direction they wanted the bee to go. And that is a beautiful example of filmmaking. So apparently pheromones are very, very powerful.
Yeah, you said they're never going to do that again because they're...
Well, the bee would always be CGI now.
Yeah.
Like, it just wouldn't happen now.
Shane H. Wilder said, maybe talk to each other instead of the internet, especially on such petty BS. And they wonder why their relationship is rocky. Yeah, she would rather share her healing journey. Dingus Khan said, I had a roommate that was watching the show Supernatural for the first time. I accidentally spoiled a part of the show. She didn't seem mad, but the next day I found out she blew me up on TikTok for it. That's
kind of scary, actually. Like, that they can be, like, completely normal, but just, I mean, that is pretty indicative,
Split
right?
personality.
Yeah.
That is so rude. AI Shih Tzu said, Mary, did you ever check out the YouTuber Psychology in Seattle? I got super into his analysis of Big Ed and Rose from 90 Day Fiancé. # Mayo Hair Crew. I hope you haven't put mayo or chicken fat in your hair. I have not seen that YouTuber, though. No, I don't really look back at analyses of 90 Day Fiancé. I feel like the first watch is good enough for me.
That makes sense.
Brian Bledsoe said, using weasel words just like a lawyer. That's true. She's naturally good at it.
Fair enough.
Pop Culture Junkie said, hope you both a great holiday. Don't break anything. I'll try not to. Hiroshima Otaru said, looked it up. Portland stole the gay little motto.
From who?
Who came up with the gay little motto, and who do we blame? Omega Red Fan said, Austin versus Gongo, no holds barred, no disqualifications, winner take all.
Gongo would win.
Gongo 100%.
They've got the fire in the belly.
Shane H. Wilder said, if it weren't for work right now, I would leave ATX in a heartbeat.
What do you do for work?
Well, he probably doesn't want to dox himself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I never mind. It was Shane. I know what he does for work.
Okay. Matcha Kit Kats are at H Mart. They're good. I feel like... No, I haven't tried them before. I've tried the dark chocolate raspberry ones.
Okay.
I've tried I think there's a dulce de leche one. And what else? I could have sworn I tried a different strawberry. I tried that one too. Never the matcha though. The cookies and cream.
Mm-hmm. I think I tried the green tea Kit Kat.
Oh, there's an orange chocolate one too that I tried. Not great. Hiroshima Otaru said Japan has way more Kit Kat flavors than us. I know, it's so unfair.
There used to be, like, I had a bunch of them here at one point. Not here, but at the old location.
I really want to get the European Zin flavors. I think I'm going to pay the shipping price because I really want to try lemon spritz. They don't give us all the options here. Greg Duvier said, put a Shane Cashman on.
Shane Cashman is a busy man. Like, I don't know if he has the time to come out
here. If you want Shane on the show, go message Shane about it.
Let him know.
Yeah. Adam said, women never mean what they say. The guys always have to solve a puzzle. I mean, maybe if you don't like that, you should date a man. They always mean what they say. Hiroshima Otaru said they have more than 4 different matcha flavors. How is that even possible? I want to try them all, though. Red Snow said, I totally would have beat Ninja Warrior, was busy.
Oh, you were just busy that day? You could have done the course? I've always wanted to try the salmon ladder, but...
The salmon ladder?
Where you...
is it made of salmon?
No, it's the bar with the different levels, and you jump from one level to the other.
Oh, I could never.
Yeah.
You would do... What would lend itself most to your skills as a skater? Yeah, like what...
It doesn't really translate.
The balance related
I guess
stuff?
balance related, but even that doesn't really translate because the movement is different, and that's more related to strong side, weak side. It really wouldn't translate. It would have to be more for people who are just good general athletes, but it would be fun to learn.
I loved the American Ninja sumo wrestling competitions. That was great stuff.
That ended up being my favorite part of John Wick 4 was when the sumos just came out randomly and then they just get murked.
So you watched it on streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I fell asleep for like a third of it.
I mean, look, it is one of those things where the action scenes carry on. Every single one is about 5 minutes too long.
Did you sense a Rina Sawayama spinoff in the works?
No, I mean, I didn't.
They ended the
character...
movie exactly like that. Like,
no, I'm saying like I didn't sense that her performance was enough to justify wanting to make it.
Yeah.
Like the Kane one makes sense to me. Like it's visually interesting in the way that they do the action scenes, and the story lends itself to action-oriented storytelling. So there's something interesting there. But the rest of it, And plus they built it into Kane's backstory at the beginning, so you have like some type of setup going into it.
DCNC said all these crying women creating the lady boys. I don't know what that means. Brian Bledsoe said currently at Texas border, looking at the big beautiful wall, spending some of my holiday weekend driving along the border. That kind of sounds awful. But good luck. AI Shih Tzu said, I'm bald, so nah. What about you being bald? Oh, putting mayo in your hair. High Voltage 75 said, if you could visit any other planet in the solar system, which would you pick?
I don't care.
Like implying that I would live? Like I could come back and I would live and it would be fine? I would go to any of them. I don't really care. If I would live, I would do any of it. Sure. Hiroshima Otaru said Portland stole it from Austin.
Makes
Austin
sense.
came up with it, and then Portland, already being the weird cousin, stole it, and it's like no one's trying to stop you from being weird. Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
You as well, Shane.
You too. Are we all caught up, or do we have more?
We got one more here from
Rusty
Shackelford.
Rena has some interesting music videos. I'm excited to see her stretch her acting chops.
I didn't care for her character. I liked Kane. I didn't care for her character. She was whiny and annoying.
Why does that keep happening?
I don't know.
Do you hear that, or is it just us?
I don't know if that's getting
like
picked
chat.
up on there.
Tell us if you heard a loud
It's
like
got something to do
thud.
with wind out there.
Maybe that's the paranormal activity that we're looking for. But Rina Sawayama is really annoying in real life. We've talked about her on the show before.
We have.
I like her music, but her as an actress, didn't really care one way or the other. So
yeah, it is what it is. I would have rather they made the spinoff with what's her name, Halle Berry, and the dogs from John Wick 3 or 2 or whichever one it was that she was in. That one was great.
I didn't watch any of the other ones except for
I would have rather seen one based on her. Plus it would finally, like, she's kind of 0 for a million when it comes to spinoffs. I guess that's not true because she got to do Catwoman, but that wasn't a spinoff. So they were going to make a Jinx spinoff of James Bond with her character. Never happened. They talked about doing a spinoff with her from John Wick. Never happened. Come on. She was great in that movie. Plus, those Terran Tactical videos of her and her and Keanu Reeves were endearing as well.
She's too busy. She's selling red light therapy for vaginas.
Yeah, and posting Mother's Day videos about having sex and being weird.
She sells an actual egg for women to put inside their vaginas, and it gives you red light therapy on the inside of your vagina.
Okay. Well, all right then. I don't know what that's about. That's creepy.
So I don't think she's all that focused on making movies right now. You see this terrible, it wasn't terrible, I should say, it was a sad video of Tom Cruise.
No.
The other day. Okay, so you look so concerned.
No.
So you're like, no, what happened?
There can't be.
No.
What happened?
Yeah, they asked him, what are your plans for Father's Day?
What did he say? Nothing.
Oh gosh, it was so sad because he didn't fully like ignore the question. He was just like, oh, I'm just making movies, going on adventures, like that type of stuff. It was so sad. But it's also like, you're a Scientologist, so they are encouraging you to like not have close relationships with your loved ones.
And that's like the thing you'd imagine his publicist would have nipped that in the bud beforehand and been like,
right.
no questions about his family.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you could have been like, look, I'm working. I got a lot of stuff going on. You know, being a movie maker is its own reward.
Right, exactly. No Control said that noise must be Seven trying to communicate. Okay, I'm not going to let you guys make fun of me for this. We're moving on. DCNC said Annie Night vid Aussie fellas barefoot outdoors. That's how you know it happened in Queensland. I don't know enough about Australian culture to know the stereotypes, but I believe it.
There was no kangaroos either.
Yeah, what the heck? No
Big
kangaroos.
letdown.
DCNC said, Mary, tell me more about how crying women to men.
I think he means turn men into girly men.
I wasn't the one who said that. That was a super chat.
Yeah.
I'm very confused right now.
Well, all right then. We got through all of them. Ladies.
Oh, the does he mean the pheromone thing?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Oh, I'm not saying I know anything about it. I just heard that.
I heard
from
it.
like, you know, the science.
I heard
like,
it from
I
a guy
trusted
who
it.
told a guy told me who told another guy who told another guy.
I heard the science. I trusted it.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. It is a great way to help the show, so thank you so much for that. Mary, where can they find you?
Send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, there's one more there.
Straight Rippin' 93 said, what is your dream TV series? Mine is God of War.
Do you have like a dream show you would like to see made?
And does that mean it has to be an adaptation?
I think it would have to be based on something.
No, because that would imply that I like the thing it's based on, and I don't want them to make anything more of it.
Yeah. I don't
so,
know
I mean, if there were any idea in my mind, like probably a C.S. Lewis book, but I don't actually want them to try. So, technically, no.
I would like them to turn Into the Wild about Christopher McCandless into a horror movie rather than the biographical film they made with, I forget who that was. It wasn't Elijah Wood. It was, what's his name? The dude from The Girl Next Door. Take that movie, that biography, and turn it into a horror movie.
Also, I know there's probably already an adaptation of this, but they should do another Secret Garden. We have a 20 from Not That Jon Stewart. Enjoy your weekend. Please remember Monday is for service members who gave everything for this country.
Yes, that goes without saying. Guys, we will not be on the air on Monday, and we do extend those condolences to those who lost their lives in this country.
Yes.
So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode on Tuesday. We will see y'all then. Bye, guys.
Bye.